Welcome to the Property Pulse podcast. Today I'm thrilled to introduce Emma Goodfellow, a seasoned property management expert with over 17 years of property management experience in the industry. Emma's journey from a small independent office in Temora to earning prestigious accolades like the RE/MAX Australia's Property Manager of the Year in 2018 reflects her unwavering dedication to exceptional service and expertise in the field. Join us as Emma shares her insights from her remarkable career and offers valuable advice for property owners and investors. Let's jump right in.
Welcome to the Property Pulse podcast, your prime source for Southeast Queensland real estate insights. Understand the latest property data in Queensland to grow your net worth, as Geoff Tomkins interviews industry experts to give you the latest market updates.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Property Pulse podcast. I'm Geoff Tomkins, your host and founder of GCT Property, dedicated to helping you navigate the real estate market in Southeast Queensland. Now today we have a very special guest. A property manager has a very important role to play in protecting your asset, one of the most important in fact. And I've found over the years, having a good property manager on your side makes your life as an investor a lot easier, a lot less stress-free. So they are a very important part to play in your property investment journey. So today I'm very excited and honoured to introduce you to Emma Goodfellow, who's a property manager from RE/MAX Bayside. In our conversation today, we'll dive into Emma's invaluable insights and experience, offering you a wealth of knowledge, some great questions to ask a potential property manager, and to really enhance your property investment venture. So let's jump right in. And hello, Emma, and welcome along to the show.
Geoff, thanks for having me today. It's very exciting.
Excellent. Now, just before we get underway, a quick disclaimer here. So we don't understand your individual investing requirements, so we always recommend that you seek professional advice before jumping into property investment. Okay, Emma, can you please tell us a bit about your background and journey into the real estate industry, and more specifically as a property manager's role?
Oh, I started back in 2004, so in December it will be my 20th year, so I've been in it a while now, straight out of school. What got me into it is a funny story actually. I finished my high school certificate, it's what we called it in New South Wales, and I was kind of being a bit lazy as an 18-year-old kind of is, thinking that, I'll just do what I can here. And my dad threatened me if I didn't find a job within a week that I would become his apprentice electrician. Now, at that time, my dad and I didn't really see eye to eye. So I went out and found a job as a receptionist in property management. And here I am 20 years later. The universe has a funny way of doing things, but my dad is my biggest mentor now, believe it or not. He is the person I go to talk to about anything in my career. So it's funny how everything falls into place, but that's how I got into real estate and loved it ever since. Still here. Can't say that many people do make it over 10 years these days in real estate and property management, but that's how I got started, and that was just in my hometown of Temora in New South Wales.
Right.
And then I moved to the New South Wales coast. Then I also ventured up to ACT. And then I moved into Queensland in 2013. I was in North Queensland for 10 years, and then I've been here in Brisbane for the last nearly 2 years. So
Great.
with the same company in Mackay as to here. So
excellent. And I think, that's a really important point you meant, Emma. It is I say to everyone as a property investors, the property management role is quite a challenging role.
It is. Yeah.
And I understand it is very, it is a challenging role. So having the fact that you've stayed in the industry 20 years and you've moved around to different areas, you would have had a wealth of experience of dealing with lots of different tenants and landlords as well.
Definitely. And
you really can't beat that experience, Emma. So that's great to hear.
Thank you. Definitely has its days. And I suppose since COVID too, there's been that, 35% of the property managers have left the industry.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's pretty huge. So I feel like it's good feat that I've made it this far so far.
100%. Okay, now we all know technology has really come into all of our worlds, and especially, it has affected the real estate industry and for the better in a lot of ways. Can you just please explain just briefly what sort of tools or platforms that you're currently using to enhance the client's experience?
Yeah. So my team here in Brisbane, we definitely are always looking at better ways that we can be more efficient, more practical for us as well. So 3 programs that I really think are necessary is a good trust accounting program. So we use Property Me, and this one in particular, and I think a lot of them are because they're cloud-based, owners can jump on 24/7. So if they want to see something about their property, they can log in onto their portal at night time when the property manager is not available, and they can find out what they need. It also just has great features for us in tenants can log their maintenance, and it starts that process of the maintenance reported, sends to the owner, all that sort of thing. The other programs that technology I would say is we've got another one called Flick It Over, where our leases, it's like DocuSign, I suppose you'd say, but it's for leases sent out. They do a lot of other stuff in it, but our main thing we use is for the tenant gets a text message, they can sign it on the phone. So from the moment they get approved, we can have a lease sent out in 5 minutes so that we can get that quick transaction happening and secure a lease for the owner. The other program I would definitely recommend is Inspect Real Estate. So it allows all the tenants to apply online, and once they have done that, it starts processing their application automatically for us. So it will send out the real estate reference to the real estate. It will send out the employment reference, the personal reference, so that when we come back in on Monday or even overnight, we can come in and just see that some of the stuff has been processed. So another quick, so I feel like everybody likes things done quick these days.
Sure.
So you've got to keep up with that technology to make sure that we can be efficient in those roles.
Great. And I think that really shows, obviously, your Remax team are managing a couple of our investment properties myself, and I found your service very good. And my partner just mentioned the other night, in fact, that she's really happy with since changing over to your Remax
Awesome.
Bayside team, which is great news. So
yeah, definitely. We love that. That's great feedback. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so what advice would you give to property owners or investors looking to hire a property manager for the first time, and maybe some of the questions that you would ask the property manager?
One thing I would do if I was an investor is I would go onto Google search and see their Google reviews. We recently just had a client come to us and said to the BDM, I want this property manager because I've seen your Google reviews and saw the amazing reviews she got. So I think it pays to make sure that you've got the Google reviews of each team member and it shows what their service is like. Attend open homes. It's kind of like secret shopping, but this is what I would do because, I don't know, I would see what kind of service you get at an open home as to what you're going to receive from your property manager. And I suppose a lot of clients come to us, their biggest sore point is communication. And here at Remax, we definitely... that's our thing. We changed our department recently last year, and so that our property managers are in more office space so that they can be reachable for our clients. So definitely asking what kind of communication they do.
Can I ask one thing that I think is important, Emma, is I've heard about this ratio, how many clients a property manager should be looking after, because I know the more clients, the more pressure the property manager's under, and I think that does have an effect. So can you please just explain the sort of numbers and what you'd call the average sort of ratio or question you should be asking the property manager?
I think since changing our department to the way that we've done it, and and it probably depends on what size of a portfolio each company has, but for example, now we've gone where our property manager is in-house office all the time. They don't go out and do routines or exits. They have a field support team that goes out and does all those things. And then we have our leasing team, but they all work closely. But the investor and the tenants are all talking to the one property manager. They also have an assistant as well. But it just means that, I don't know, you're an investor yourself. How many times have you called and you can't get a hold of your property manager?
Yep, a lot.
So Haley and myself really reviewed this process of what can we do to make our service better, and we thought having the team in office so that they can get the calls. So this also means that they can manage more properties. So we've got some girls managing 250 properties, where we've got some girls doing 200 properties. It just depends on their capacity too. So I monitor what their level is because I don't want my property managers stressed. So each person is, I think, capable of doing their own numbers. So we just review that. But I think the more in office they are, the more properties they can manage.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point because, as you mentioned, I've been a property investor for a long time, over 30 years in New Zealand and Australia. And it is when you have a property manager, and I understand, traditional property managers are on the road doing property inspections, open homes, so they do live a very busy life on the road, and it's not always easy to get back. But when you've got multiple phone calls from landlords and the landlord not being able to contact the property manager, it does get very frustrating. So that system that you just mentioned, I think it's a great strategy to improve the reliability and the feedback and the speed time of getting back to the landlords and the tenants as well. So I think
it's just about building relationships. I think that's the most important thing in this business, is building relationships with your clients, so that you know what they're trying to achieve and then you can help achieve it. But yeah, definitely we've found that changing this way of our department has worked really good.
Fantastic. Now, could you please share a success story where one of your property management teams or expertise has really made a significant difference for the landlord?
Yeah. It's probably for myself. It was a few years ago now when I was in Mackay. I had an investor that had brought off the plan and built some townhouses. She and her husband, we got along really well and never met her before. They ended up coming for a visit to Mackay, picked them up from the airport, and I took them around the whole of Mackay because they just brought off the plan, so they'd never been to Mackay. So I took them around, showed them everything there was to show about Mackay, and brought them back to the office, took them out for lunch, and I have had the best relationship with them. And even though now we're not in Mackay, I still keep in touch with them, but they couldn't thank me enough that they didn't know anything about Mackay. They had no idea really. They just brought this thinking that it was a great idea, which it turned out it was a great idea, but just providing that service that, the investor needs to know where their property is located. But they had, it was a great relationship.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think, we all live very busy lives, but we are a people business. And like you said, Emma, building those relationships with the tenants and landlords can really help. And if you do have any disputes or things to resolve, it can really help if you're all on the same page and they understand or see you working really hard to resolve. I see property manager's role working with the landlords and the tenants. It's a very evolving sort of process. And the more that you're on top of that, the better relationship you've got with both parties, the smoother the property management role will be for yourselves and for the tenants and for the landlords as well.
Yeah, and always taking a solution, I guess, is like, don't take the problem to the client, have a solution for them before going to them.
Fantastic. Now, I know we're in a rental crisis. Many will be aware. Can you just describe the sort of demand you're seeing? You're on the coalface, really, speaking to the tenants and the landlords for this rental market we are in. And currently, especially in southeast Queensland, we do have a lot of interstate investors looking to buy into the Greater Brisbane region. So can you just give a quick insight into what's really happening currently in the sort of, you've got a number of offices, so you manage properties all around southeast Queensland. So you've probably got a really good broad knowledge of the demand in most areas at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. And it is a great market at the moment. It's still quite tight. Like our vacancy rate for our office is just under 1%, and it's maintained to that for a good 6 months. So definitely, and we're seeing numerous applications come through still for each property. As long as you go with the 3 Ps, the price, position and promotion, then there's just such a great market out there. And we also have seen, even when not leasing, we've seen that there's been a 35% increase in lease renewals, in the rent increases over this last 12 months.
Wow, it's phenomenal numbers.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Emma. It's been really insightful. Getting property managers' advice and experience such as yourself has been a real pleasure, and it really can help give investors, clients, the confidence that their properties are being, well managed. So I can't appreciate enough the importance of your role as a property manager and having treating your property manager well, making sure they're on the same page, and having you manage that process is a very, very important of the property investment strategy, and allows, when you get it right and you've got a great property manager such as your company, it allows the investor confidence to go and build their property portfolio over time,
Yeah, definitely. Very much so. Thank you so much for having me today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Emma.
Ta.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. It's been really insightful having a great property manager, a lot of tips and experience based on that podcast. So if you've enjoyed the podcast, please share this episode. We would love you to leave us a review, as it really helps others to find our podcast and get that information and content out as we can share it. So please remember to hit the subscribe button to keep up to date with the latest episodes, the industry experts that we're going to be having on a regular basis. And if you'd like to make contact with myself or Emma, our details will be in the show notes. See you next time. Thanks.